Good morning everybody. Today for 10th standard we are going to start with the lesson on endocrine system, and this is the last lesson for the reduced syllabus that we have from the council this year. Now endocrine system and nervous system, as you know, these are the two systems which actually controls and coordinates all the activities in the body. Like in your body, different organs are functioning and there should be a connectivity between the organs functioning. Suppose you are running, so your muscles need more glucose, more oxygen, so it has to be supplied by the stomach or the intestine as well as the lungs. So there should be a coordination between the heart, the circulatory system, the respiratory system and the nutrition system, even the excretory system. So that coordination is done by two systems. One is the nervous system, which does through the nervous conductions, which are fast but short-lived, and through endocrine system, which are generally longer and they are slow, but they do action which is much more deeper and the longevity is more. Now in endocrine system, the functioning is done by help of certain chemical messengers, what we call hormones. And you can see here the hormones are secreted. The hormones are actually what we call the chemical messengers, and these chemical messengers are required in very minute quantities. The hormones are generally amines in nature. They can be amino acids, they can be proteins, they can be steroids or fatty acid derivatives. Now there are two types of glands. One is called the exocrine gland, another is called the endocrine gland. Exocrine gland, as you know, you have studied, like pancreas, sweat glands, sebaceous gland, they secrete certain chemicals which are supplied through the ducts. But endocrine system, they secrete the hormones and they directly pour the hormones in the blood vascular system, which is carried to a target organ. You can see this particular diagram here. Just see this diagram. This is the endocrine organ and this is showing the blood vessels which are carrying to the target organ. So directly these glands, they secrete the hormones into this blood vessel and then they go to the target organ, which may be near it or which may be far away from the endocrine organ, where it goes and does its act. Usually they go inside the cell through the cell membrane. Sometimes they act from outside the cell membrane. In case of amines hormone and protein hormones which do not penetrate, in steroid hormone they can enter through the cell membrane and they can go directly and act on the chromosomes to secrete certain enzymes which are required for the body functioning. Okay, now let us go back to this the glands that we are discussing. So endocrine gland is the gland which secretes the hormone. Now there is a differentiation between nervous connection and the endocrine coordination. Nervous coordination and endocrine coordination, there is a difference. Now the difference is that nervous coordinations are faster, they are through the nerves and usually neurons and chemicals, but in case of endocrine coordination they are through the chemical messengers which are called the hormones. Now these hormones are actually not reusable. When they go, action is over, usually the hormones break down and they are metabolized, they are utilized in the body and thrown out of the body. So it is not reusable as far as enzymes are concerned. The enzymes are reusable. They can convert to the actions again and again. Now here we are showing a feedback mechanism. You see the hypothalamus, which is actually part of the nervous system, and there is a pituitary organ, we have the endocrine glands and the organs what we call the target organs. Now hypothalamus, though we do not consider it part of the nervous system, they secrete neurohormones, and these neurohormones are secreted either through the portal systems which are connecting the hypothalamus and the pituitary. In case of anterior pituitary, it comes through the portal system. In case of posterior pituitary, it comes through the neurohormones, and they usually stimulate the pituitary glands to secrete the hormone which are called trophic hormones. This trophic hormone goes and acts on the endocrine glands, and the endocrine glands secretes the hormones which go and act on the target organs. So this we call the hypothalamus pituitary endocrine gland axis. Usually, this is controlled, if the secretion, suppose I'm giving you an example. Like in the hypothalamus, there is a hormone called say corticotropic releasing factor, CRF. Okay, so this is secreted, this is a neurohormone which is secreted from the anterior pituitary through the portal system, and it goes to the pituitary gland, which stimulates the pituitary gland to secrete ACTH, which is called adrenocorticotropic. So the adrenocorticotropic passes through the blood, goes to the endocrine gland, particularly the adrenal cortex, to secrete a hormone which we call the adrenal cortex secretes, the hormone we call the glucocorticoids or the mineralocorticoids and the androgens. They go and act on the body. Now suppose if the glucocorticoids or the mineralocorticoids, they are more, then they send a message to the pituitary and to the hypothalamus to reduce the amount, or to reduce the amount of CRF, to reduce the amount of ACTH. This is called a negative feedback. Or even if it is less, then they induce or promote the pituitary gland, send message to the hypothalamus or the pituitary gland to increase the supply. Now both of these is called a negative feedback mechanism. Remember that if it is more, then it reduces, that's also negative feedback. If it is less, then it induces or promotes, that also is negative feedback. And positive feedback is something different, which is beyond the scope of your knowledge. It is there in some case of some endocrine glands. We are going to study that in +2 if you have biology, if you take up biology. So that is what about the negative feedback mechanism. Now, as we know that the nature of the hormones, as I already told you, that they are either amines or they are types of amino acids, they are types of fatty acid derivatives like sterols and cholesterols and all. Now there are two types of hormones action. You can see this particular diagram here, that this is a cell membrane. Now there are certain hormones which you can see the hormone is coming here, and then this fits into the cell membrane of a particular cell and they do not penetrate. Now this hormone can stimulate, there is an enzyme called adenylate cyclase. Now this adenylate cyclase enzyme converts ATP, adenosine triphosphate, to CAMP, that is called cyclic adenosine monophosphate. And this activates, this activates the hormones for providing the certain types of enzymes or whatever reactions are required inside the membrane. Now this is in case of amine or protein hormones, the action of the hormone is from outside the cell membrane. Same example like insulin hormone. Insulin hormone does not penetrate, but it can come to the cell membrane side and stimulate the enzyme adenylate cyclase, which causes conversion of ATP to cyclic AMP, which can induce the reaction of the insulin action inside the cell. Now this is in case of amine and protein hormones. But in case of steroid hormones, since the cell membrane is made up of protein, lipid and protein membrane, usually they can penetrate through the cell membrane. Like here you can see here that this is a steroid hormone. You can see this steroid hormone, it enters through the cell membrane. This is the bilayer lipid and the protein membrane enters there, and there is a protein receptor. The protein receptor combines with this steroid hormone and they can enter into the nucleus, attach it to the DNA at a particular site, and they can stimulate the mRNA, the process of transcription, and the mRNA then goes to the cell cytoplasm with the help of the ribosome. They are translated into the protein that are required for that particular action. So this is the two types of action. One action is that in case of, you don't have to go in details, but you must know that protein hormones and amine hormones generally can act outside the cell membrane. But in case of steroid hormones, they can actually enter through the cell membrane to continue the action. Now, we'll see here some of the endocrine glands, although we don't have to study all. Like here in the brain region, you have the pituitary, which is a small gland about 0.5 to 1 gram, which is hanging from the roof of the third ventricle. The hypothalamus, though it is not a part of the endocrine system, we see they also secrete neurohormones. The pineal gland, this is also located in the brain, and they inside the brain. So these are the three glands which are generally located. Then you have the thyroid gland here located in the neck region, just above the larynx, which is the H-shaped gland, and this is the largest endocrine gland. On reverse side of the thyroid gland, there are four small endocrine gland, which is called the parathyroid gland. Just in the chest above the heart, you have the thymus gland, which is the degenerative endocrine gland. Here above the kidney, you have the adrenal gland. The pancreas is there inside which is a partial endocrine gland. The ovary in case of female is a partial endocrine gland, and testis in case of male, this is also a partial endocrine gland. So this is what we study today about the different types of endocrine gland. In the next class, we are going to study about details about the four glands, the pituitary, adrenal, thyroid, and the pancreas gland, which are in the course. Thank you very much for listening, and please see the video. If any question, you can put up the question. Till then, take care and have a nice day.